Every house is required by code to have some type of electric panel in the house to separate and protect all the electrical circuitry. Most common today, you have circuit breakers. Older houses have fuses. There is a common misconception between circuit breakers and fuses. There is a belief that fuses are not as safe as circuit breakers. This is not true. As long as the correct fuse size is installed, the circuit will be protected. The problem with fuse boxes is that there's normally only 4 circuits to separate and protect the whole house. Circuit breakers have 20 or 40 circuit breakers depending on the amperage. The best example I can give you is with 4 fuses. If you have a kitchen that's all on one fuse and you plug in a microwave which draws 12 amps, you're going to blow a fuse because everything is on the same basic fuse. With a circuit breaker box, you've got 20 or more breakers, so this panel can be separated out. Most new construction, the dishwasher gets its own circuit, the refrigerator gets its own circuit, the garbage disposal gets its own circuit, so the panel is separated and will not trip a circuit breaker. So that being said, if you own a home with fuses, it is going to be best in the future to upgrade to a circuit breaker so you can balance your house out. There will be more and more appliances coming out that will require their own circuits. At the top of the electric panel, there should be some kind of main disconnect that can either be turned off or pulled out. It is possible that if you live in a condo or a townhouse, the main circuit breaker could be located at the exterior of the building or in some type of mechanical room under the electric meter. This is for access by the fire department in the event of an emergency. If your main disconnect is not located at the top of your electric panel, you should contact the building's management office if you do not know where the electric meter is located. If the main disconnect is located under the meter, make sure to take the time to identify which meter belongs to your unit. They are not always marked. The function of the main disconnect is to protect the entire electric panel. The purpose of a circuit breaker or fuse is to protect an individual circuit. Circuit breakers can either be a switch type or a push-button type. Fuses are usually the same. On a switch type circuit breaker, if you flip the switch almost like a wall switch, or on a push-button type circuit, if you push the button in, or on a fuse box, if you turn the fuse out counterclockwise, this will turn the power off to that individual circuit. If you have a tripped circuit breaker, the breaker will be almost in the center position, not all the way off and not all the way on. To reset the breaker, you have to turn the breaker all the way to the off position and then back to the on position. If you have a blown fuse, look at the glass in the fuse. It will be blackened. This is a caution. For the circuit in a fuse box to remain protected, the same fuse size that was removed must be reinstalled. If you remove a 15 amp fuse and replace it with a 20 or a 30 amp fuse, the circuit that fuse was protecting is no longer protected. This is a fire hazard. You will no longer be blowing fuses. However, the circuit would blow or the wire would burn before the breaker ever tripped or the fuse blows. If you are continually blowing fuses with the correct fuse size installed, there is obviously a short or an overload problem, and you need to call an electrician. This needs to be corrected. For general wiring, today's wiring comes with a plastic insulation. Older houses have a cloth insulation. One of the problems that happens is that cloth becomes brittle over time, and when that happens, the wires can touch and create a short or a fire hazard. This may sound like a weird test, but if you can actually grab the wire and move it around and it still feels flexible, the wire is probably okay. That being said, if your home has any amount of cloth wiring, preparations should still be made for future upgrading. If the wires are still pretty pliable, you should be able to replace these a couple circuits a year just so it doesn't become so costly. But keep in mind that the sooner that all are replaced, the better off you're going to be and the safer that you're going to be. Electric panel keys. Number 1, the main disconnect protects the entire panel. Number 2, a circuit breaker or fuse protects an individual circuit. Number 3, if you have fuses, replace them with the correct size. And number 4, if you have a short that continues to blow fuse, call an electrician for repairs immediately.